Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have yet another Xiaomi phone called the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. So this has been available for about 2 months now, but it's still a really good device. So this phone costs around $250, but we have a Helio X20 processor. That's a very powerful processor. We have 3 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. This phone is also running Android 6. We also have a 5.5-inch screen with a 1080p resolution, so this makes the phone a bit bigger, so it is a bit difficult to actually reach the top of the device while holding the phone in one hand. So if you have small hands, you should consider a smaller phone. Like most Xiaomi devices, it's made out of metal and glass, and it does look very premium even though it's not that expensive. This one is actually one of my favorite Xiaomi devices just because it looks a bit different. So we have some very nicely curved edges on the back, so they're barely noticeable, but they're there and it makes the phone feel better in your hand. And continuing with the back, we also have a 13 megapixel rear camera, a dual tone flash and a fingerprint scanner. Now the fingerprint scanner for some reason doesn't work all the time, so you have to touch the sensors a couple of times to get to work. So I did see other Xiaomi devices that work much better than this one for the fingerprint scanner. On the right hand side of the phone you're gonna find the power button and the volume keys, and of course these ones are also made out of metal. Moving on the top of the device, there we're gonna find the secondary microphone, the IR blaster and a 3.5mm audio jack. The IR blaster works really good, so all you have to do is point the phone towards the TV or whatever you're controlling and it will work really good. The sound coming out of the 3.5mm audio jack, it's on par with most of these $200 phones from China, so it's nothing special. On the other side of the phone we are going to find the SIM card tray. Now you can install either 2 SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card. And even if you install an SD card, you're not going to be able to actually use that SD card as internal memory. So you can save some pictures, you can save a couple of things on the memory card, but you're not going to be able to use that memory card as internal memory like you can on other devices with Android 6. And all the way at the bottom we have a speaker, a microphone and a micro USB charging port. It takes about 2 hours to roughly charge this phone from 0 to 100, and this phone also supports OTG. So you can plug in any USB stick and the phone will be able to read whatever you have on that USB stick. And since we are talking about the speaker at the bottom there, here is how the speaker sounds. On the front of the device you're gonna find a notification light, and the notification light can change colors, so you can set whatever colors you want from the settings app. You're also gonna find the speaker and the front-facing camera. For the front-facing camera, Xiaomi used the 5 megapixel camera sensor, and this camera sensor it's not the absolute best. So in daylight you're gonna be able to take some okay looking pictures, but if you take pictures at nighttime they're gonna come out very grainy. And this is the same problem that we've seen with lots and lots of Chinese devices under $250–300. So the front-facing camera it's not the absolute best. Here are a couple of examples of pictures that I took at daytime and at nighttime. The 5.5-inch screen used for this device has a 1080p resolution, and I think that that's enough for a 5.5-inch screen. Now I find that this screen doesn't get that bright, so yeah, it's not the brightest screen out there, therefore the colors aren't as vibrant either. If you take this phone outside, unfortunately you're not going to be able to see it that well, mostly if it's sunny, because there is a lot of glare and reflection on the screen. The screen also seems to be covered by some type of scratch resistant glass because I wasn't able to scratch it, and the sensitivity on it is pretty good. And moving all the way at the bottom of the device, we're going to find the 3 buttons, the home button, the multitasking and the return key. And the very good thing about these buttons is the fact that they do light up. The Helio X20 used in this phone, it's fast, and this is probably one of my favorite MediaTek CPUs out there. So on the Antutu benchmark we get a really good score of about 85,000, and we also get a really good score on the Geekbench 4. So for a device that costs around $250, I think these scores are quite unbelievable. So yeah, this phone is very fast. We also have a 4100 mAh battery inside this phone, and I was expecting to get some really good battery life from it. However, with this phone and that processor, the phone doesn't get the best battery life. So there are times when I actually got about 2 hours and a half of screen on time, other times I got about 4 hours and a half of screen on time. So you can kind of make it through an entire day, but if you're a very heavy user, you may have to charge this phone twice throughout the day. The Note 4 is also using Android 6 with Xiaomi's own skin on top of it called MIUI 8. Some people love this skin, some people don't. Me personally, I install Nova Launcher on every single Xiaomi device, and that makes the phone look very close to stock Android. Like all the other Xiaomi devices, you have access to the theme store and you can customize this phone and make it look however you want. Keep in mind that MIUI 8 is using a lot of RAM, so out of that 3 gigs of RAM that we have available, we actually get about 1.5 that are free at all times. The RAM management is also not the best, so the phone tends to kill a lot of the apps running in the background. So that's not a great thing because you're gonna miss a lot of notifications if you don't actually lock those apps to run in the background there. So that's something that happens with all Xiaomi devices, and it is a bit annoying, but there are ways to actually work around it. The settings app, even though it looks nice and simple, it's got a lot of options, and that's the same for all Xiaomi devices. So out of that 64 gigs of internal storage that we get with this device, we actually get about 56 left, so 8 of them are basically used by the operating system. The GPS unit inside this phone works very good. It only takes a few seconds for the phone to connect to the satellites, and you can use any apps that need your location very well. For sensors, you're gonna find all the sensors that you'd find in a flagship phone. So if you're looking for the sensors that you'd find in a phone that's like $1,000, you're gonna definitely find them in this phone, and all the sensors that are available will work really well. As for connectivity, we get dual band Wi-Fi, so you can connect to the 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks and the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi networks, and the speeds that I got on the 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks are the fastest that I've seen for any mobile device. For 4G and 3G, the speeds are okay, but that's gonna depend a lot on the network that you're connected to. The 13 megapixel camera found on this phone is basically the same sensor that we've seen on other Xiaomi devices, and I have to say that it's not the absolute best. The camera app looks identical to the camera app that we've seen on other Xiaomi devices, so we have a lot of options, we have a lot of features, and the camera app is rather quick. We even have a manual mode there, but we don't have that many options for that manual mode. So yeah, the camera app definitely works well, and that processor, the Helio X20 that we have, definitely helps to take fast pictures. We even have a HDR mode, but it takes quite a bit to actually take pictures with the HDR mode. For picture quality, if you take pictures in daylight, I think the pictures look rather decent, and you're looking at some examples of some pictures that I took with this phone in daylight. For nighttime pictures, even though they look okay-ish, they're not the absolute best. So you're gonna have to hold your hand very steady, and the pictures do turn out a bit grainy. So it is unfortunate, but that's what we get with a lot of these cheap Xiaomi devices. So the camera, even though it's not the best, I think it's on par with all the other phones under $300. All the apps that I've tried, including Chrome, work really good. So with Chrome, you can scroll, zoom, do anything you want. This processor that we have in this phone, it's actually really fast. So you're not gonna have any issues with any apps. On the YouTube app, you can also watch videos at the maximum resolution, which is 1080p, which is basically the resolution of the screen. For gaming, the phone also works really good, and I actually did a gaming video for this device, and you can find the link for that in the video's description or the top right corner. And it's time to conclude this video. So for some reason, this is one of my favorite Xiaomi devices. So even though the screen doesn't get that bright, for some reason the phone has this shape that's a bit different than other Xiaomi devices that just makes me like it more. The processor inside, it's extremely fast, but the battery life, it's a bit disappointing. But if you have time to charge the phone throughout the day, you should be fine. And this is a really fast phone. If the camera would have been a bit better, would have made the phone, of course, much better, but you know how it is with cheaper devices. So overall, this is a really good device. I know there is another version of this with a Snapdragon processor, so hopefully that has an improved battery life and some improved performance as well. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.